Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. I hope you're all enjoying Halloween. Today I'll be speaking with Amanda Taylor, the Selfie Killer, about horror movies and true crime. This was recorded back in 2022. On April 4th, 2015, 59-year-old Charles Taylor was fatally attacked by his daughter-in-law, 24-year-old Amanda Taylor, and her accomplice, 32-year-old Sean Ball. Amanda had traveled to Charles' residence in Montgomery County, Virginia, accompanied by Sean, who had picked her up earlier that day. The two had acquired a bayonet-style knife and were also in possession of a tire iron, which Sean had concealed in his trousers, along with several firearms, including 2 pistols and a rifle. These weapons had been stolen from Sean's parents' home. Amanda later confessed that their purpose in visiting Charles was to murder him. During their visit, the discussion shifted to Rex Taylor, Amanda's deceased husband, who had taken his own life. In August 2014, Amanda held Charles responsible for Rex's suicide, believing he had contributed to Rex's drug addiction, which had escalated significantly in the 2 years leading up to his death. While Charles was seated on his sofa, Amanda began to stab him multiple times from a standing position. As Charles attempted to grab the knife, Sean struck him 5 or 6 times with the tire iron, while Amanda continued her assault. The autopsy revealed that Charles had been stabbed 31 times and had sustained blunt force trauma to the head. Some of the stab wounds were so severe that they penetrated completely through his arm and neck. At a hearing in 2016, Amanda remarked on the murder, stating, "It was personal because I wanted Charlie gone. He made me mad. I felt like he didn't deserve to be here anymore since Rex was gone." A photograph of Amanda with Charlie's deceased body was captured on Sean's phone at the crime scene. Later that day, the image was uploaded to Amanda's Tumblr blog and shared with an online acquaintance who operated a website dedicated to serial killers. Before departing the crime scene, the duo also took money from Charlie's wallet and informed his bedridden father, Alan, that Charles had injured his leg and that they were taking him to the hospital. Amanda Taylor was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of Charlie. Sean Ball is currently serving a 41-year prison sentence. Here's my interview with Amanda Taylor.
Hello. This is a prepaid debit call from
Amanda Taylor. So I'm Amanda Taylor, and I'm in prison for life because I killed my father-in-law. So I'm sitting in here for murder.
So, being that it's Halloween, I'd like to talk about horror movies and true crime. So, you stabbed your victim to death dozens of times. I know it sounds cliche, but did you find any inspiration from horror movies, video games, or anything that depicted violent imagery?
Well, no, not like, I don't think like movies and stuff made me want to do it, but it really like, I guess actually doing the real thing changed my mind on how I viewed it, because one of the first things I said after I stabbed them was, well, that's not how it is in the movies, because, you know, usually you just stab them and they die or they bleed out. It takes a lot of work to take someone's life. But no, horror movies and stuff, it didn't like really inspire me to do what I did. I did it for my own personal reasons.
So what are some of your favorite horror movies?
I have so many, Andrew. Right now, I was thinking about it. I don't know. House of Thousand Corpses will always be like one of my all-time favorite movies. But I've watched so recently, like we only get AMC and Sci-Fi in here, so they've been doing all these marathons that some of the stuff I've never seen at home. So I don't know. I'm really getting, like I watched Halloween at home, Michael Myers, of course, but I've really gotten into like the story more, I guess, now as an adult and actually having to watch it over and over and over. I really, really love the Halloween series. That's like, Rob Zombie's, of course, is my favorite, but I really gained like a lot of respect behind the story of Halloween. So Michael's my favorite right now.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with Halloween or House of a Thousand Corpses. My personal favorite is 2001 Maniacs. Have you seen that?
I have. I like that a whole lot. I love Robert Englund. He's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really messed up movie. Like, it's dark and twisted, and that's the type of horror I like.
It has like that trash film. I like trashy horror. Like just the filthiness of it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any other favorite horror movies or anything horror related? Any like favorite horror characters or any horror villains or?
Well, Leatherface, he's my absolute favorite. I have him on my arm. He's my right-hand man, so I tell everyone. He taught me all my moves. I really like, I don't know, I really love Otis Driftwood. He's my absolute favorite. And then, I don't know, like, I like more realistic killers, I guess, ones that could actually happen.
Like real life, like
yeah, like I love Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger's amazing, but realistically, that's not. I mean, yeah, nightmares suck, night terrors suck, but you're not gonna get shredded to pieces through a nightmare. Like I just like stuff that makes you actually sit and think, like, should I take this turn and come across these redneck cannibals, or I don't know. I just like realistic stuff.
Right, like Wrong Turn or Last House on the Left, and like movies that actually have like villains that are like humans and not like supernatural beings.
Yes. I grew up in Florida, in a nothing area in Florida, so I didn't have no fears. When I moved to Virginia and saw like backwoods hillbillies and rednecks and all that, they're scary, Andrew. Virginia, West Virginia, there's some crazy stuff that happens here.
Yeah, I can only imagine, especially out in the boonies.
Yes.
Did you know that West Virginia has a lot of Bigfoot sightings?
No, I did not know that. That's cool, though. That's very interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. Washington, actually, the state that I live in, has the most sightings per capita in the world of Bigfoot. So hopefully one day we'll find him.
I wouldn't think like it. I don't know. I just think of him being in a like wet wooded area, like forest type area. I can see him being over there with you more than over here with us.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully one day. I mean, there's so much evidence of Bigfoot, but then there's so many people that can shoot that down. Because I mean, you just got footprints and hairs that nobody will let get tested.
So are you a fan of Bigfoot, Andrew?
I'm a huge fan of Bigfoot and cryptozoology. I love
awesome.
Cryptozoology. Yeah, I nerd out
really
on
cool.
it. Yeah, I'm a crypto nerd.
I don't know much about him or his stories or his legends.
Well, Gigantopithecus was like a real life. It was like an ape. It was like a giant ape, and that's what I think is out there. I think Gigantopithecus never died out, and I think Gigantopithecus is Bigfoot. But that's my theory.
So is it just like all pure ape, or is it like man mixed?
Yeah, it's all pure ape.
That's crazy. That would be really scary to come across, though.
Yeah, it would. It'd be like coming across Shaquille O'Neal plus like an extra 2 or 3 feet. And this thing can just rip you to shreds in like a second.
That's pretty terrifying.
Right. So, you're also a true crime buff who happens to be a convicted murderer. Let's talk serial killers and true crime. Do you have a favorite case or a case that got you interested in true crime?
I think what really got me into it was Charles Manson, of course, started it for me. Like the music and stuff led me into like, okay, so I got into Marilyn Manson when I was like 11 years old, and I wanted to know why all their band members had the names they did. So they're all named after a serial killer, and I think that's what opened the door to like exploring that world more. But then I wasn't really like on the computer and stuff, so I had to do everything through the legit library, and so I didn't really take a lot of interest until I got older and the internet came available more. Like I was able to get online and stuff. But Manson was definitely like the first one to really take my attention.
Why Manson of all cases?
I just think it's beautiful how so many people just cling to him, like how he was able to grasp like mind control over so many people, and just like all they wanted to do, like his happiness was their happiness. And I just find that beautiful to have one individual that can control that many minds its power and it's an incredible talent.
If you had the opportunity, would you ever join a cult?
Probably. A lot of people tell me I have the potential to be a cult leader, but that's not my dream. I like that. I like serving an individual. And in my head, I have this whole sick theory of, Rex was my cult leader. Although we had, like, our ups and downs, at the end of the day, like, anything he says goes. And I think that's beautiful when you have someone like that,
Speaking of Rex, you two used to communicate with serial killers and convicted murderers, right?
Right.
Do you remember some of the people that you guys used to talk to?
We talked to a lot of people, but I like school shooters, spree shooters and stuff. He talked to a lot of like serial killers, but my favorite that we both mutually contacted was Richard Ramirez, because he was so I don't know, he was so family oriented, and it just, I don't know, the way he viewed our family was just, it was really cool to me. So he was probably my favorite one that we both spoke to.
Did you guys ever get to talk to him on the phone?
No, we only did through letters.
There was another guy, Paul Rudgy, that you guys used to talk to, right?
Yeah, we love Paul too. Paul was incredible. He did a lot for our family as well. Rex was super like attached to him.
Oh, really?
That was one of his. Yeah, they had a really close relationship.
So what draws you to school shooters and spree killers? Like, what's the interest there?
I just like the fact that, okay, so like, you can only push people so much before they just have enough, and I think that's how, it's just the power behind like showing you, people are so mean in the world and they think they can just treat anyone like anything, and people just have enough and they go out there and they show them like, no, this is what hate causes to happen. I just like people that stand for something. Like, I don't know how to explain it really. It just fascinates me that how someone can just they can only handle so much before they just snap. And then that's what brings everyone together.
Right. The spree killings and school shootings, I think, are interesting. Well, for one, school shootings, I mean, they're not as common anymore as they were in the past couple of years or in the past decade. But I mean, I don't know. I interviewed a school shooter one time, Aaron Yarba. He shot up the Seattle Pacific University, and he was crazy as could be. But that guy was channeling, or he claimed he was channeling the Columbine killers, and they were telling him what to do, and he was going to go on this massive killing spree. But I think he killed one person, and he ended up getting tackled, and that was that. But yeah,
so what was his ultimate goal? What was he saying they were telling him to do?
To just kill people, to kill as many people as he could.
But it's crazy though, Andrew, because in reality, like, that's how you stop hate. That's the only thing that brings people together, is when tragedy happens.
Yeah,
so that's what it
that is true.
Mass murder to be a community. It's disgusting. That's America.
Right. I remember a few years ago, actually it was probably like 6-7 years ago, I was living down the street from a mall, and there was a mass shooting at a mall. This kid, he killed 5 people. His name was Arton Chetin. He was from Oak Harbor, Washington, and he shot up the Macy's there. I was supposed to go to the movie theater that night with my friend, but his kid was sick, so we ended up not going. But there was a mass murder there, and I remember when it brought the community together. Skagit Strong was the hashtag, and I remember going to the mall after the mass shooting happened and just seeing everybody there like crying and writing notes for the victims, and Like I've never seen anything like that before. I've always seen mass shootings and mass murders on the news, but one that was so close, you know, going there was just like, wow, this is really crazy.
It is. That's insane because I experienced the same thing. Me and Rex went to go see The Evil Dead, and while we were seeing them, like our theater's right next to our mall, Neil McInnes was next door shooting our mall up. He went and shot the community college in the back of it up. But that's what, after that happened, it's like everyone was going there at night and like praying together or just hanging out and just being a community. And I'm like, y'all hate each other. So it takes someone coming in here and destroying their life for you guys to wake up and, you know, not want to hate each other.
Right. It is pretty interesting how that works. I mean, we take a lot of things for granted, and then when things happen, we're like, oh, shit, we should have done this or should have done this better. But I guess it's just that should be a wake-up call for people to just live your life how you want to live it and, you know, live every day like it's the last.
I also admire, like, the guts the shooters, the people have to go out there and actually stand for something.
Do you have any favorite mass shooters or school shooters or?
Of course, I love Eric and Dylan. I don't know what my infatuation with TJ Lane was, but I just thought he was so adorable. I just felt so sad for him. He was one of my favorites. I love James Holmes. I love Anders Breivik. I really have a thing for the Boston Bombers. I don't know what it is about them. I don't want to try to attempt to say their names because I don't say it right, so I don't want to disrespect them. But I really have a thing for, like, bombings. Timothy McVeigh was one of my first, like, infatuations with that. I guess, like I said, along with, like, the school shootings and stuff, like, just people who have just that thrive in them to go out there and make a statement with such power.
So you like people that stand up for themselves and don't let people walk all over them?
Stand up for a cause. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that in a sense. Yeah, I mean, I don't like bullies at the end of the day, and I wouldn't ever go out and shoot somebody or something, but yeah, I don't like bullies, and a lot of school shooters, it seems, get bullied and just go out and...
But that's the way America teaches you to handle it. Like, if you get messed with, you handle it in those type of ways. That's the only thing that makes a change.
Let's say there was a horror movie based on your case. Who would you want to play you, and who would you want to play Rex and Sean?
Oh, God. Like, do they have to be famous people?
They don't necessarily have to be famous. They could be like B or C actors or people that you would think that would fit the characters.
Oh, of course I would want Mariah, my best friend I grew up with, to play me because she would know, like, everything inside and out, and I swear that's, like, my twin. God, it's Sean. I don't even know, Andrew. I don't know who I can... Because Sean and Rex are both so crazy, so the people would have to be perfect. I don't know. I really don't know. I would love for Rob Zombie, though, to get a hold of my case and create it into magic. I think he would do wonderful.
Have you ever been approached by anybody, like screenplay writers or anything like that?
I have, but they're not people I'd known, so, like, I didn't really entertain it because I wasn't sure if they were, I had no access to, like, find out if they were legit or real. So I haven't really, like, put any effort into it. But when I first got to prison, I had a lot of people writing me a lot of people that wanted to write books. That I just never really entertained that thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, authors and scammers out there at that too, but it would be interesting if you wrote a book about your case from your perspective.
Yeah, I think that's why I really need to connect somehow with my co-defendant so I can understand, like, what happened afterwards, because I feel like, I don't know, like, my thoughts like when we were on the run and stuff, like those 27 hours, however many hours it was, like I don't know if I was really connected to reality. So I really want to talk to him and just, because after we killed Charlie, like everything is such a blur. So there's a lot of like unanswered questions I have about like the aftermath of it.
Is it a blur because like you were intoxicated or on drugs, or do you just like legitimately don't remember?
I like legit don't remember. Like I remember bits and pieces, but I don't know if it's what I'm allowing myself to remember. We weren't on drugs. Well, I wasn't on anything. I still felt like faded feeling from, I was in the mental hospital like a couple of days prior to it, and they kept giving me these shots that would like knock me out and stuff, and I didn't take like pills or hardcore drugs or anything like that. So like my tolerance for that's super low, and they kept doping me up on this stuff, and I felt it for like a good 2 weeks afterwards. But I think that has a lot to do with it too. But I don't know, it was just like an adrenaline rush, like everything happened so fast. And so when I try to like piece it together, I'm like, wait, is this how it happened, or is this just like my mind creating some kind of fairy tale?
So, is there anything that you'd like to end with before we get out of here?
I forgot to talk about Ghostface Killer. He is my favorite. I was sitting here thinking, I was like, I didn't even talk about Scream. I think Scream is the ultimate, like, fear. I love that story, the original Scream, the first one. The ones after that or whatever. But just the original Scream, just the thought of, like, your boyfriend, your neighbor, your friend, anyone being able to put a mask on and just terrorize you like that. I forgot to bring it up.
Yeah, Ghostface is a good one. I mean, because talking about realistic life killers, I mean, there's been so many people that have put on masks and have just gone and killed somebody. Like, for instance, I interviewed a guy who is on California's death row, who on Halloween night put on a werewolf mask and went to his ex-wife's house, who was 8 months pregnant at the time, and killed her, and the fetus just dropped to the floor. And that's more scary. That's more scary to me than a horror movie, because that's real life horror, you know. It happens.
And I believe it was Ted Bundy that said it. They can be your husbands, your brothers, your coworkers, something along them lines. You never know who it is. It can be anyone. And in Sydney's case, it was her boyfriend.
Right. I mean, yeah, you never really know. I mean, people are so psycho these days. I mean, look at serial homicide. The stereotypical serial killer is not there anymore because they're intelligent and hardworking, middle class or high class people, and you know.
How do you feel about Brian Kohlberger?
I think that case is super interesting. Honestly, I really want to talk to him.
I really want to talk to him as well.
That crime was just so brutal and just so heartless, and
do you think it was
so
him?
methodical at that. Oh yeah, I believe 100% that it was Kohlberger. He'll probably be on Idaho's death row sooner than later with Timothy Dunlap and Azad Abdullah and the rest of the gang.
What about his first name's Rex. Rex, the guy, the Long Island serial killer.
Yeah. You know, I've really been following that case that much lately, to be honest. But I do need to delve into that more, because I mean, it is a super interesting case.
His name's Tierman, Rex Tierman, I think.
Yeah. Before he was caught, it was a super interesting case, and I know it's blown up in the media since he's been arrested, but I haven't really been following that case honestly that much lately. I've basically just been delving into the cases of people that I'm looking to interview sooner than later, and I recently discovered a new serial killer that I did an interview with the other day, which I'm super excited to release sooner than later. He was a contract killer, actually, for himself, but he was part of a gang in California. But I've been immersed in that case lately because it's just super fascinating to me.
How many bodies is he convicted of?
He's got 1, 2, 3, 4. He was one murder charge was dismissed. So technically he admits to 5 bodies, but he has 4 convictions under his belt. And one of them was in prison, like a murder in prison. And the other 3 were cold case murders, which it's a really crazy case, and it's a really crazy way how he ended up getting caught, because he confessed to the cold case murders while he was being investigated for the murder that was dismissed. So technically, if he never confessed to the cold cases and the other murder was dismissed, he'd still be on the streets today, which is like crazy to me to think. But he thought that he was like done, and he was a goner, so he just confessed to the cold cases like, it ain't nothing. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. So are the cold
cases actually his, or he just confessed to them?
Yeah, the cold cases are actually his. He's sending me paperwork and everything on them, and he actually has photos from the prison murder that he's sending me as well, and a lot of his discovery and whatnot.
He had photos of the murder he committed while he was in prison?
Yeah, he got his discovery and everything, and he got photos of his victim and everything in prison.
Okay, so okay. I want to ask you this question because I asked someone else this question. Okay, say someone's in prison for one murder, and then they get to prison and then they kill like 2 or 3 people. Do those kills count to make them a serial killer, or do prison kills not count at all? Like, is it just irrelevant?
Well, I'm not a professional by any means, but I would think that would count towards being a serial killer, because nowadays the FBI updated it to 2 or more bodies with a cooling off period. And I know there was
are those interesting to people into the true crime world? If someone's only convicted of 1 body out there, when they get here and start killing a bunch of people, is that interesting to you?
Yeah, that's super interesting to me, because prisons are supposed to confine people and keep them away, like keep them locked up, and catching bodies in prison to me is super interesting, because for one, you're supposed to be like cuffed up and transported and this and that, and I mean, yeah, it's catching murders in prison is interesting to me, in the fact that, well, I mean, I guess if you have nothing to lose, I guess it's really not that surprising, but at the same time, you can lose a lot in prison by catching bodies. Like, look at Thomas Silverstein, who was high up in the AB for so many years. He was the longest serving federal inmate in solitary confinement for the longest time, and he still managed to kill people.
Well, it's good to know your opinion, because I was curious into, like, how people who are into the, like, true crime world or whatever, and interested in that kind of stuff, how they feel towards people dying within the system. Because in my head, if I were still at home, it just wouldn't count.
Right. Well, I mean, there was an inmate overseas. I think it was like Brazil or something like that. He killed, what was it, like upwards of like 80-something people in custody, and they were all like child predators. And the dude is walking the streets to this day, which is amazing. Which is beyond insane. He's a free man. So he only
killed child predators, like people who mess with kids?
Yeah, in prison. His name was like I don't know. It was some Hispanic name. I forget what it was. I would have to look it up. But
well, we can call him Dexter. Because he came on the street. That's beautiful to me.
Yeah, speaking of Dexter, there was a case in Florida, a guy by the name of Manuel Pardo. He was executed, but he was a former cop, and they say that Dexter was inspired by him because he was a cop in Florida, and he was killing drug dealers and stuff like that. I don't think he was killing murderers.
Oh, that the show was inspired from him, or he was inspired from Dexter?
No, the show was like loosely based off of Manuel Pardo. People claim.
Oh, wow.
I mean, because he worked in Florida as an officer, and he was killing people, and he's been executed like, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. But yeah, that's the kind of
that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, it's super interesting. And there's other cases where people have, killed people because they don't agree with their habits or this and that. Like there's a guy in South Carolina, I forget what his name is, but he's the youngest serial killer ever convicted, I believe, and he killed 3 people. And I think one guy was like a junkie, another person was homeless or something like that, and he decided that they had to go.
Well, sometimes you just need to clean up. Do you know the guy in Canada? I believe he was in Canada, but he did his stuff he was trying to be like Dexter. I believe he was able to kill like one person. I don't think it was any more than that, but he was very inspired by that show. He had like the whole kill room and everything in his garage, I believe.
Huh, I don't think I've ever heard of that. I'll have to look that up. That's interesting.
Definitely look him up because he's a very interesting case. His Dateline was on a couple months ago, but I think he was corresponding with a girl in New York or something, and he was like giving her hints as to what he was doing and stuff. But I think he was trying to tell his neighbors maybe he was filming like a film, like he was like the screaming and stuff they heard was him filming something, that it wasn't real, but it ended up being real.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, there's been so many murderers that have been inspired by horror villains and TV shows and shit like that. It's, I don't know.
I remember I was really fascinated with these 2 boys. I can't remember their names for anything right now, but it was very like Scream related. They stalked this girl from high school. I can't remember if they actually went through with killing her. Yeah, they did kill her. But they were videoing everything.
I know exactly who you're talking about because I talked to them.
What are their names?
Brian Draper and Tori Aka something.
They did kill her, right?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Did you say you speak to them?
Well, I speak to one of them. I'm trying to get an interview out of him, but yeah, I've seen the video of them prepping for the murder. I have the video actually.
While they're in the car and like filming her window and stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty creepy to watch because it's like
like that. That's my daydream. I give them props.
Yeah, that case is super interesting too. I mean, there's so many cases.
Are they remorseful?
I'm not sure yet, honestly. We haven't got that far yet, but I would assume so. But I mean, because they were teenagers at the time, but I guess you never know.
That's crazy. I look forward to seeing if you end up getting anything out of that, because I would love to know how they feel now in their current headspace. Yeah,
it's always interesting talking to juvenile offenders like 15, 20, 30 years later because, I mean...
Yeah, I'm in here with a lot of them.
Yeah, your brain isn't the same, and your body's not the same either, and, it's sad.
It is, and like the parole board and stuff, like they don't look into stuff like that. It's very rare that they Virginia just put one of our juveniles up for parole. She actually gets to get out in March, and she's been here for like 30 years. But that's like one out of so many that they actually looked into. But they really are, like, you watch them mature and grow up and realize, like, hey, kids are so easy to manipulate, and the system doesn't look into that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, there's a lot of kids that are followers that are co-defendants a lot of the time of, like, adults and shit like that. I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed that were juveniles that were along for the ride and was a getaway driver or just was there.
And I know, like, I was 23 when my stuff happened, but I had been with Rex since I was 13 years old. And, like, being allowed to form as one with someone who, like, clearly he inspired and, like, influenced a lot of the darkness in my world. And that's what I, like, clinged on to be one with him. And, like, now this program that I'm and it's teaching you to explore your head and actually like dig deep into your emotions, your views, your feelings as an individual. And I'm like, I barely know myself because I was so manipulated into like forming into one with this person. So kids are kids are moldable. And it's all based on like what they're around and what they see.
Yeah, they're definitely impressionable, that's for sure.
It was good talking with you, Andrew. This was fun.
That was my interview with Amanda Taylor. Thank you for listening.